We're talking actors and directors who put on the shows.
We're talking playwrights and designers who you'll want to know.
From the very first rehearsal to the final curtain call.
We might be off Broadway, but we're talking about it all.
'Cause we're two local gals
with global pals. It's everything theater.
with Benita
And Ellen. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Everything Theater Podcast Backstage episode. I'm Ellen Cribbs.
And hi, I'm Benita Zahn, and I feel like I'm doing summer stock only because I'm out on the Cape, so we're performing elsewhere.
Well, the new world, it might be more of this. You could be wherever and still be in a show.
And that's the beauty of it all. But I think maybe more beautiful is that folks are back on stage.
Yeah.
We've been talking with folks from other theater companies. We have a lot of neat folks in the queue, as it were, but we're going to do a little backstage talk like usual.
And I'll say, I'm going to do a shameless plug here because this will go out the week of my show opening. Here we go. Yes, I'm directing Servant of Two Masters of the Confetti Stage. It runs at the Shaker Heritage Site in Albany from August 6th to the 15th. It's outside. It's funny as heck. It's a real good time. And I'm really excited to be working on that. And you've got a show coming up end of August.
Yep. I'm performing with the Black Theater Troupe of upstate New York. Many of you are familiar with Remy, as those of us who get hugged by him call him. And he's doing a fascinating, really neat show called Barbecue. And at the heart of it, we're all people and how we respond to situations, social situations, we respond to Black people and white people. It's fascinating.
Really cool.
Angelique Powell is in the black cast. I'm in the white cast. And it's written as such. David Gerard is associate. He's helping to direct. Judy Bouchard, who many people know, she is a producer on the show. Diaka Kalb is also. So it's a wonderful experience. And I was lucky to sneak in the back door. Somebody had to drop out.
Oh. Well, I don't know if you have the similar.
Over the last 2 weekends in August, just go to Black Theater Troupe of Upstate New York, Company of Upstate New York. Yes.
Yeah, I'm wondering if you feel the same way, Benita, but with all the kind of the new CDC guidelines for masking up again, I'm kind of having a moment of feeling really fortunate that I'm doing a show right now that's opening up because we felt comfortable rehearsing without masks, and that was really nice. Yeah. And it'll be interesting to see what the fall and winter bring for theaters again.
Equity just came out with some new guidance, which will have to change, like tomorrow, because the world is changing. We've already discussed, I had an extra gig, for the Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. And it was just when the world was opening up and they were just starting to reduce the amount of testing for, the hair stylists and the makeup people. But, all I know is when I tell people they sent you out on set with a contact tracing beeper. And you're like, where am I supposed to put this? Thank goodness I was carrying a pocketbook,
Tuck it into your shirt.
As a runner, I'm good at that. And and I maybe we pitch that as the next question, Ellen. Are you comfortable rehearsing sans mask? Or do you think it's time to put it back on? And we can have a whole conversation about, I'm still posting on my TV13, profile on Facebook, and people are going, I'm vaccinated and that's enough. And somebody else going, it's not enough. And you've got to protect. The fact of the matter is they're finding that you can in fact transmit the Delta variant, even if you're vaccinated. And the concern is for those who whose vaccination doesn't take so good because of their age, underlying health condition, or they're not vaccinated.
Yeah.
Children.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, that's biggest impact for me because I've got a, kid just shy of 2 years old that I was just starting to take her out grocery shopping with me and stuff. I was like, I feel better about this, but now I think she's back inside for the foreseeable future.
Yeah. So, let us know. How do you feel about rehearsing without mask? How do you feel about rehearsing with mask? What's your comfort level? Are you comfortable going back into a cast situation now, where you may have been 6 weeks ago?
Yeah.
It's moving fast.
It is. It really is.
What do you think, Ellen? I mean, do you want to get on if you were to do another show?
Yeah, well, as I was saying, like I'm really grateful I had this show, and I think I'm not rushing into another one. I think this was kind of my show this year.
Yeah.
And I think I'm going to just take the fall and winter off, in all honesty, because there's so many unknowns, even though I'm vaccinated. And I think just personally, I'm just going to wait a little bit longer.
We're going to mask now. In our rehearsals, we weren't, but I know the conversation is that we're going to, and everybody's vaccinated. But I'm now torn because there's a show I was going to audition for the end of August for November.
Big cast, small cast?
Big cast.
Yeah.
Very torn.
Yeah.
And like you, I may just sit this dance out.
Yeah. It's frustrating, but
I think, folks, let us know.
Yeah. Yeah. I like it. And speaking of what you guys think, we posed a question last time on our Backstage episode about what people's preferred show run length is, whether it's a single weekend, a month, a year, forever. And we had a lot of
only if you're getting paid.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I do think that was the consensus. So yeah, well, first of all, Benita, what's yours? What do you prefer?
I like at least 3 weeks.
Yeah.
I mean, I really do. Right now the show I'm doing is going to run 2 weekends. Okay, great. I'm happy. Listen, right. Ultimately, we're always happy to be on stage, especially when the product is good, the people are great. A stage reading in a group like that. Thank you, God's of Theater. But in general, I like a 3-week run at the very least. How about you?
I agree. Yeah, for all that work, it's heartbreaking, especially when it's like a 1 weekend deal. I did that once, and it was a musical too. It was so much work. But for me, a lot of it depends on the show and my role. I'll admit, the bigger the role, the longer I want to run. But I do like, because I've done the longest runs I've done. I think I did it was either 6 or 8 week of the 39 steps, but it was only Thursday through Sunday. And I think like a random Wednesday here and there. And then Cap Rep runs about 4 to 5 weeks, and but that's an 8-show week. And for me, those runs are hard. I think when I get to the end of that, I'm like, I've loved the show, but I'm ready to move on, just because when it's every night of your life, it
and
takes
mind
a toll.
I do that when I was, then. Now, of course, the world's a little different for me, but I was working a 40-hour work week.
Yeah.
And doing that.
Yeah. That's hard. And we're going into Tech Week for my show, so I'm now, as a new parent, I'm having to leave every night, and my husband's putting our kid to bed, which luckily she's doing well with, but every night I go to leave and she just cries and says mama, 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 and it's heartbreaking. So I know that you mentioned Diaka earlier. She was in Shakespeare in Love with us, and I know that was hard for her to do that 8-show week cap run rep or cap rep run, because she's got 2 kids, and it's hard to not be there for the bedtime.
Yep, it is. I mean, it's what I did for love. You
Yeah.
know, it
Mhm.
it is what it is, right?
Yeah.
Um, and then it's like doing Park Playhouse. For those who are in the capital region, this summer was a little bit shorter, but usually it's a 4 week run, and you're Tuesday, and they've also stopped doing Sunday. But in the
Mm.
old days, it was Tuesday through Sunday, dark
Yeah.
Monday, and start get it up, kids. Let's go.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like my weekends. Give me my weekday, my nights during the week.
And responses, Monica said, I like a 3 week run for 3 to 5 days per week. Double show days are the worst and should be outlawed. Man, sometimes when you've got a physical show, or Molly Rose McGrath and I did Always Patsy Cline. We twice had 2 runs at the Cohoes Music Hall through Park Stage Company, and it's just the two of us. I joked she had all the songs and I had all the words, but 2 show days. I got to tell you, I ate French fries with my dinner.
Oh yeah.
Just a couple. But it, and that's the other thing, eating on 2 show days. You've got to put something in, but you got to be careful depending on the show what you put in, because you don't want it.
Exactly. Yeah. It's always that, like, how much time do I really have between shows? Do I go home? Do I just hang around here? What do I do?
Right. Yeah. That years ago, we were doing Private Lives at Albany Civic Theater. And
wait, who were you in Private Lives? Were you Amanda?
Of course.
Of course.
Darling.
That's a dream role for me.
Is it? Yes.
One day.
Amanda, yes, I was Amanda, and John Allen played, I can't think of it.
Elliot.
Elliot.
Sorry to interrupt you, but I was like, I did not know you did Private Lives. I was very excited to hear that.
Yeah, it's a great role, but the woman, the wonderful gal, said, well, I'll be making mac and cheese for the meal in between. And I was like, mac and cheese? Are you kidding me? It's a little demonstrative, I couldn't imagine eating mac and cheese and then doing that show a second time, with a belly full of cement. But
I agree.
That's the other question. What's the worst meal you ever got served?
Oh,
Ellen,
good one.
Yeah, right.
That's good, because I have to feed my actor. We do have a 2 show day for Sermon to 2 Masters, and I promised some food, so this would be good research. No mac and cheese.
Back in the day, it would have been fun. Me doing Amanda and you playing.
Sybil.
Simpering.
Yeah,
Sybil. It's a fun role.
Yeah. I love that show. I saw that with Alan Rickman, the great, late Alan Rickman, on Broadway, and holy cow, it was amazing.
And I saw it with Taylor and Burton.
Wow.
And it's like they were playing out their life. It was amusing. Especially when he spanked her.
Oh, yeah. I could see that.
And somehow he spilled some water on his crotch. She made a big to-do of mopping it.
Oh, dear.
Anyway,
let's see. Yeah, move it on. We've got Heather said, when my job is doing a show, I don't mind an 8-show week. 2 show days are tough, but they're also great bonding days with their castmates. But when it's on the side from my day job, 2 show days on a weekend are awful. I'd prefer to do 3 weekends of 3 shows each, Friday, Saturday evening, Sunday afternoon.
I get it.
Mm-hmm.
And, I love her positive attitude, great bonding with the cast. Come on, let's face it. Sometimes you've got a cast that you can't wait to leave the dust. True that?
Sometimes, yeah. I mean, I've never had a cast that was like, oh my gosh, this cast. But no, I do understand, especially when you've come off Tech Week sometimes, and you're like, that's all you've been for all that time, and it's nice to get away a little bit.
We've all had a show where there's one person.
Yeah.
Maybe I was the person. Who knows? One man's ceiling, the other man's floor. Anyway, Alex says, I like really long runs. The longer, the better, as a matter of fact.
There you go. See, it's interesting because, as I was saying, I haven't done a very long run. I mean, I think about people on Broadway all the time, especially people in the chorus who are in that show for years and do that 8 times a week, same show over and over again. And that's why for me, I think, it depends on the show, because I think of, great shows, like take Hamilton as my example. You've got Prince George or King George, who's amazing. I mean, has a song that steals the show,
Right.
But that actor is only on stage for, I think it's like 14 minutes or something during the course of that very long show. And he's only doing that one song and reprises of that same song. So I think as great as that song is, to only go on for 14 minutes at a time and do that
Well,
one
he's got a
thing
side
for
gig
so long.
slinging hash, don't you know?
Yeah. I just think I think I would just get really bored doing something for months and years on end.
Yeah. So you have to do, I mean, I don't know if he studies something in between.
Yeah.
He's made a lot of Afghans. I don't know. We'll have to ask. We'll see if we can,
Find out. And that's a good question too. If you have a smaller role, what do you do in the green room? What's your
I've been
green
known to
room?
play cards. You know that.
Yes.
Rummy.
Absolutely. That's a good one. Let's see. Fred said, I also really like long runs, though I would limit it to 4 days a week: Thursday, Friday, Saturday night, Sunday afternoon. Two show days are grueling, and I think one of the shows tends to suffer. But if I'm getting paid, I'll do as many shows as the company wants.
Fred, love you. Ryan says, I think for me, it totally depends on the show. There are a handful of shows, such as Rumors, Noises Off, Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum, that I would happily do for a year straight. Outside of the sacred handful, I think my rule of thumb is probably 5 shows a week for maybe a month, and then I'm ready to move on.
Yeah. Let's see. Evan says, if I'm getting paid, then let's keep the run going as long as possible. For a regular community show, I'd say 3 weekends is usually enough.
Dude, I'm with you. Getting paid, listen, that's what you're doing. That is your living.
Yeah.
And if you're out making widgets, you're making widgets 40 hours a week. It's widget making.
Yeah.
And not to say theater is, but one can see the repetitiveness. And then the challenge for a good performer is keeping it fresh and finding, something in it, but not changing your performance because everybody else is expecting you to be doing something in a specific way because they've come to rely on the rhythm of your performance.
Yeah.
Let's see. Sean says it all depends on the show and the people surrounding it. The right combination of an engaging show, a good audience response, and a close team are the recipe for keeping a project enjoyable. Yeah. I could have done Eurydice. Did I say that right?
Eurydice. Mm-hmm.
Eurydice, thank you. Contacts are good, but at this hour, I should make the copy a little bigger, Benita, and Forum Forever. Other shows, I think, could have been done after opening night, but I won't name those.
Yeah. Eileen says, I've been involved in shows with a single performance. Ugh, awful. Not enough. A single weekend, Theater Voices, which for people who aren't local, that's staged readings, and a month-long run at Cap Rep, plus doing some shows in rep at NYSTI. NISTI, yes, thank you. Back in the day that extended on and off over a whole season. The single weekend format works for Theater Voices, which does readings, because it's very difficult to stay on book beyond that, which causes all kinds of problems. For community theater, a 2 to 3 week run seems good. For professional productions, which are expensive to mount, being able to continue to develop and deepen a show is very gratifying. anecdotally, the better the show is, the longer we want it to last. The worse it is, the more we pray for a shorter run.
Perfectly said.
Mhm.
You know, um, Mike
Meg.
said
Yeah.
it is Meg. That's a
Interesting spelling. Yeah, she's a
spelling,
friend of mine.
but Meg, no matter how you spell it, I enjoy the 2 to 3 week runs only because to do what I love, I need to take weekends off from my job.
Yeah. Jeffrey says, since I don't do theater professionally and need to maintain a muggle job to pay the bills, 3 weeks of 4 shows per week is the sweet spot. Less than that doesn't feel like it's worth all the work. More than that feels like it's too much. If I didn't have a day job, I'd be happy to do a show forever.
Yeah, I think we're ready to work together, Jeffrey, you, me, and Ellen. We're on there. And Patrick says, after over a year away from it and half a dozen performances I had tickets for canceled in July, I feel lucky and grateful to experience one nice long scene. If I had my wishes, as long a run as would support a Capital Region premiere with impactful themes. So yeah, 3 weeks of 4 performances each.
Seems to be the consensus of the sweet spot.
Yeah, yeah.
Rob, again, 3 weekends, Thursday performances, the second and third weeks, close on third Saturday night. Oh, interesting. Not a Sunday.
Yeah.
No double Saturdays, no brush up rehearsals in between, but that's a whole other subject.
Yeah, that is a whole nother subject.
Yeah.
And Steven says, I did 30 performances of Noises off a curtain call. The only reason I was glad to see it end was the day job. I was exhausted, but the show was exhilarating.
And Mark, to bring all these thoughts all together, community theater, 2 weekends, or as other people were saying, 3. I'm definitely not alone with the thought. If it was my main source of income, I'd run a show into the ground.
Yeah, because
That's
let's face
great.
it, you want to eat, right?
Yeah, yeah. And actually, this is a little segue. If you don't mind me reading a different comment, I had also posted before we did our equity episode, that which, in case you missed it, oh my gosh, check it out, because we had such an amazing panel of guests with lots of great insights about the new open access policy and joining equity or not. And I had posted about this, and we didn't read comments because it was a lot of what was covered in that episode. But there was one that I thought was interesting to point out because it was a unique perspective based on location. So Michael said, I see equity as essential in New York, but optional everywhere else. If you're young, willing to travel, and have a heart for musicals, then I'd suggest joining. But if you are a local theater junkie who does improv and black box theater in your state, then I'd say stay away. You can make a fine living in Chicago, which is where he's from, and never go equity. I wouldn't say the same for SAG and AFTRA. And the bad politics and not so subtle favoritism runs rampant in the union. The hope is that equity is there to protect actors from being taken advantage of and getting decent wages and benefits. But what I hear most often from my peers is how equity made it so hard to find good work, feel respected, and feel heard, especially voices from minority groups. The happiest and most fulfilled I've seen my fellow actors is when they're doing good quality work with good people. And that can be accomplished without equity. So then the non-union theaters have to continue to embrace the actor community around them and pay them well. I've seen good strides in this area from the non-union theaters. So what do you think, Benita?
Unfortunately, there are few good theaters in the 518. Good, whatever that means. But few theaters that will pay.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's one of my
and
thoughts.
There are some that are making money on the performers. But performers want so much to be on stage. They're like, here I am, right. Take me. And so I understand what he's saying. And if that were the case, and one could be paid appropriately for one's performance, great. You and I, you've thought about it many times. I took the card when it was offered to me,
Mm-hmm.
and I have not regretted it. There are some shows I would like to have done, but didn't because of my equity status. But theater, like everything else, goes high, has high and low points. And
Mm-hmm.
I was very fortunate when I was non-equity to perform in this town when things were very high. And I don't mean to besmirch anyone, but things were not that high at another point.
Mm-hmm.
And to have been to have suffered the slings and arrows of some of the directors at that time, and I was not alone,
Mm-hmm.
was simply not appropriate.
Yeah.
And it was during that spell
Mm-hmm.
that my card opportunity arose. And I like to believe that it has come back up in the community, knowing who's directing. Um,
Yeah, well, I wanted to read the comment because I know we didn't really talk about non-union houses in our equity episode at all. But as someone who lived in Chicago for a long time, there is such a huge non-union professional
mhm,
community there that do pay their actors, decently, or some very well,
yeah,
even though they're not union. And I just think it's maybe a conversation to start having other places that, there is a responsibility on these non-union houses to, first and foremost, treat their actors well,
mhm,
and consider paying them. Because if now it's easier to join the union, maybe these non-equity houses need to take the responsibility and the step forward to support their actors who have made the decision not to go union, but still want to work professionally and be paid. So I think it's just, I've seen a lot of theaters, I'm not saying locally, but just in general, a lot of theaters that make a decent amount of money, and it's like everyone gets paid except the actors, because as you said, actors are so, put me on stage, I want the exposure. So it's a conversation for actors and theaters alike to kind of evaluate that mentality.
yeah,
Yeah.
great. And we're very fortunate, I think, now to have an incredibly robust community theater community.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Um, like I said, I might not have taken my card,
Yeah.
but you reach a point, Ellen, where you would like to be paid
Yeah.
for your investment.
Definitely.
2 tickets doesn't cut it.
No.
And look, right now it's very difficult. I understand that too. For otherwise pro houses who are not hadn't been paying their performers to now say, yeah, I'll pay you even though I was closed for a year.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. It is not something that will start happening soon, because
Mm,
yeah, budgets are going to be really, really, really tight for probably a couple years.
yes. And you to the authors, the posters comment that it's you're better off joining SAG AFTRA. Now I've held off writing that check. I'm
Hmm.
eligible. I haven't written the check. Um, there's some extra work that's kind of fun to do that I wouldn't have gotten if I was union.
Hmm. True.
And I'm on one of those listservs, so I get 2, 3, 20, notices about auditions. And there's a lot of non-union stuff out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I believe in unions.
Mm-hmm.
I joke my maternal gram probably struck my paternal grandfather. She was a seamstress and he was a dressmaker. It, it's not a simple yay or nay.
Yeah. Oh, there's so
I know
many
you
factors.
you contemplate it.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And it's something that like, I know that it's something that could happen in my future. I just know that the timing now for me doesn't make any sense, but
Right.
I could see down the line, certainly taking my card and, you know, just having a different approach to my performing, you know, as you said, trying to get more guest contracts and working in different aspects of theater that maybe, you know, besides just being on the stage, you know, being a artistic director somewhere, you know. Yeah.
I'll sign up and work with you.
Woohoo.
But, you know, and that's the other thing. You know, when I took my card, I took it because it was so hard to get them.
Yeah.
And this was, I had an opportunity for work that I was doing that, and that happens also. You know, you can add up all the points, but sometimes you do something that gets you back then the card. Now this is a game changer.
Yeah.
You know, get paid, get the card, which is really the bottom line. And goodness knows, I was 16 the first time I got paid for acting.
Wow.
It was a production in the county that, you know, I'm a Long Island kid. And so, you know, this world order, I could have got my card then.
Yeah.
Who knows? I might not be in Albany. I would never have been the TV news anchor.
Right? Yeah.
But that's the other part, Ellen. That for some, maybe it is their ticket.
Yeah. Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Definitely. Opens a lot of doors for a lot of people. Yeah.
Plug your show one more time.
Okay, so come check out when this airs. It will be this weekend opening August 6th through the 15th. The Servant of Two Masters at the Shaker Heritage Site. If you're familiar with it, it's based on the, well, it is the Italian Commedia dell'arte play, but it's a very modernized version. So very goofy. There's music in it, which normally does not have music. We've got everything: physical comedy, wordplay, sword fights, music. We got it all.
I love it. Something appealing, something appalling.
That's exactly what it is. And I gotta say, Benita, this, you know, I'm gonna get mushy here for a second, but as a director, you know, it's all about the group you put together, you know, and I've just been so fortunate. Every single rehearsal I've sat in, I just keep thinking, I am so lucky that these people wanted to do this show and agreed to do it. And if like, they've just put 110% of their passion and enjoyment and fun into it. And it's just a delight to go to rehearsal and watch these people.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
That is wonderful. Can't wait. Break legs.
Thank
I can't
you.
wait to see it. Can't wait.
Yeah, definitely.
So let's pitch that other question we were talking about.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, it'll be on the page. And I will, I'll see you at Servant of Two Masters.
Woohoo. See you there.
Thanks for spending time with us today. I'm Benita Zahn.
And I'm Ellen Cribbs. We'll catch you next time. Thank you so much for listening to the Everything Theater podcast. Special thanks goes out to Alice Grinling for our photography and Justin Friello for composing our amazing theme song. Please remember to subscribe to our podcast and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. If you want to share your thoughts or what's going on in your theater community, you can reach out to us on social media or through our email at everythingtheaterpodcast@gmail.com. Till next time, it's everything, everything, everything theater.